Welcome to episode 25 of ECTEL Bytes. The show is a production of the Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications Authority, and I'm your host, Coretta Charles, ECTEL Communications and Media Relations Manager. We use this platform to provide you with information about developments taking place in electronic communications by the Directorate or like-minded organizations. With that in mind, I'm pleased to introduce our guest who is making his inaugural appearance at ECTEL Bytes, Mr. Alden St. Clair. He's the Senior Technical Officer at the National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission, or the NTRC, right here in St. Lucia. He'll be guiding us through our topic for today, which is Inside the Spectrum and Broadband Realm at NTRC St. Lucia. So welcome, Alden.
Thank you very much.
So it's your first time to the show. Before we dive into the topic, let's learn a little bit more about you. How long have you been working with the NTRC, and what does your job entail as a Senior Technical Officer?
Okay, I've been with the NTRC since 2011, so that's about 15 years now. Yeah, it's been okay though. And we learn a lot. We gain a lot of knowledge, and then we can also pass it on to persons. My role, well, I'm the supervisor of the unit, the technical unit. And on that unit, we review licenses for applications for different types of telecommunication services, just the technical aspect. But within those applications, you have financials, you have management and whatnot. But we only review the technical aspect. We have applications for different services. You have land mobile, aeronautical, maritime, amateur radio, type approvals. For the bigger tier persons, as flow on digital, you have individual licenses. So that's just to name a few. There are a lot more, but we do those reviews. And we also advise the commission on technical matters.
Okay, and how many persons are in the unit?
Currently 3.
Okay, so that's quite a few persons for so many things to be done, but we'll talk more about what we do. So let's dive into our topic. We've heard the term spectrum, but in simple terms for persons who may not be aware, what is spectrum?
Well, in our terms, we call radio spectrum. There's a different type of spectrum. Right. So in our terms, we call that radio spectrum. And spectrum is basically, this is a way that devices communicate with each other wirelessly. Well, those with wireless capabilities, that is how they communicate with each other. Basically having a conversation, transmitting information to each other.
Okay, simply put.
Yes.
All right, so why is it important for the NTRC to monitor in the space of radio spectrum?
Well, businesses use spectrum, especially the bigger providers for internet, for cell phones, for television, and these persons pay a fee for that protected spectrum. Therefore, the NTRC is mandated to ensure that persons who are not legal to use those frequencies, that one, they're not using it, and also those who are actually using it, because each person is given a certain amount of spectrum. You don't just get anything that you want. You apply, you get a certain bandwidth, and to make sure that you're actually using that bandwidth and using it efficiently also.
Okay, so how does the NTRC monitor the use of radio frequency spectrum, and what tools or technologies are involved in this process?
Currently, we have 2 monitoring stations which are fixed, one in the north, one in the south. These are on 24/7, and they record a lot of information concerning legal transmission or as we want to say, legal frequencies, those that have been assigned. And also, it also tracks illegal transmission. We also have a handheld unit, which gives us the opportunity to go in specific areas to monitor. If we want to monitor specific frequency in a specific area, they're able to do that. We have different types of antennas, more technical omnidirectional antennas, and we have directional antennas. We also have antennas that are very specific with different frequencies, which enables us to be more effective when we tracking interferences or we're tracking illegal frequencies.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some of the challenges you might face in ensuring that spectrum is used efficiently and legally? Because you've used that word a few times.
Yes, you're a small island. And we have islands to the north of us, we have islands to the south of us, which everybody has frequencies, everybody either has, we have different NTRCs or on neighboring French island, they all have their own spectrum plan, and persons may want to use frequencies in different ways. So challenges, because everyone uses it differently, although working in their own parameters, specific parameters, we get, because of that, we have to make sure that everyone in St. Lucia works within the parameters. And even if it is outside, we have conversations with different persons to see, to make sure that everything looks fine.
Okay. All right. In terms of licensing, can you explain the process of obtaining a license for spectrum use and what are the criteria to be considered for approval?
Okay. Well, in that case, for spectrum use, no one can just get a spectrum license. You need to get a service license. So you need to offer service first, which is maybe, as I said, internet, television, radio stations, all those persons. So it's according to the service. So some services can be wireless, can be hardwired. If you're giving a service which is wireless, then you apply for frequency authorization, which is frequency. And when reviewing these applications, it has a few things that we need to go through. Well, as I said, my department deals with purely technical.
Okay.
But however, the application has business details, history of the applicant, financials, management. So for our side, we need to know what service you intend to provide, what network you're putting down to provide those services, and also the frequency that you want to use. Can you use that frequency for that service? And also how much frequency, how much spectrum do you want to provide that service to your customers?
So how does the NTRC balance the need for new entrants in the electronic communications market with the need to manage and protect existing spectrum users? Because it's not a finite resource, so it has to be monitored.
Yes. So, well, spectrum is on a first come first served basis. We don't hold back spectrum for anyone. If it's available and you want it and you meet the criteria that I just mentioned, you're able to get it. We have certain bands that are saturated, as in not much space. However, what's happening now, we have in the ECTEL spectrum plan, which has been revised, we have some spectrum that is not being used. So we're going to take it, either put it somewhere else, or put it for a new, or put it together with frequencies that are already saturated to actually open up that band. For persons who are already there, they are protected. We even when assigning new frequencies, new spectrum to persons, new entrants, we make sure that existing applicants or existing licensees, they're not interfering. So before we ever assign any spectrum, we run tests, we run road tests, we run software tests, we do different types of tests to make sure that everyone will be able to work within that spectrum and not cause interference with each other.
Okay, so I'm going to throw this in there. You say they're protected and there wouldn't be any interference, but I know sometimes you're driving around, say, in Moshi, and you're listening to a particular radio station, and all of a sudden you're hearing French. So I'm guessing it might be Martinique.
Yes.
What's the reason for that?
Okay, so what happens in that, as I said, we are very small. Countries are very small, and what separates us is water. Frequencies travel very fast over water. Even better over. They travel over water faster than over land. So once the frequency hits the water, it moves very quickly. So certain areas, because of our topography, you may not be able to get everyone on island. And so what providers may do is set up different towers in different areas so that they may get everyone, but cost money. And I guess it will depend on what the provider gets back to set up different areas so that the provider is able to reach as many customers as possible.
Okay. So for persons experiencing that, who would they call? Would they call their radio station, or this is something to contact the NTRC about to flag it? What would you recommend the public do in the event that they're experiencing this frequently?
Well, the public can contact the radio station themselves, or wherever it be a mobile operator also. You may be driving, you may not be getting service or job calls. We've had experiences where persons have complained on the radio about not getting certain cell phone reception in certain areas. And you have seen the providers take an initiative and actually put up small towers in different areas just to accommodate that. So even coming to the NTRC, you can come to the NTRC to complain about that. and we will speak to the provider, asking them, listen, this is what's going on, and your system on.
Okay, thanks for that, Alden. Let's shift to broadband a bit. What role does NTRC play in monitoring broadband quality and availability across the country? And when we say broadband, what are we talking about? High internet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So for broadband, which everybody refers to as internet.
Yes.
Yes. Right now, what we do for quality of service, we are mandated to look after that also. So as of now, we have something called probes, which we go into install to personal homes. It's attached to your existing modem, and it's on for 24/7. So it records, it does not record content, it does not record what website you visit, it does not record that, only records upload, download speeds, drop times, reconnection times. Okay? And that will give us an idea as to what's going on nationwide. Because we have persons who complain about the internet speeds, the Wi-Fi, and one thing we like to mention is that we don't monitor Wi-Fi. We monitor the internet speed that gets to your house. Anything after that, you can improve it or you can get someone to help you out with that. But the NTRC is not responsible for Wi-Fi. It's responsible for internet monitoring the quality of the internet getting to your house. So that's what we monitor, the internet at your modem at your house. Now that probe, we leave it there for approximately 2 weeks just to get a full picture of what's going on. And we give you a report at the end, a summary of the report of your internet service at the end. You can choose to go to your provider with it, or you can choose just to have it as something you can refer to later on.
Is this a free service or persons have to pay for it all then?
It is a free service. Yes, it is a free service because the NTRC is mandated to look after quality of service, broadband, internet in the country.
So if this is free and from time to time, and even under this post, when we advertise, persons were complaining about service, just in St. Lucia, but other contracting states, and wondering why more persons aren't taking, making use of this. How many persons would you say roughly have taken you up on this?
We've had a few, island-wide.
More than 100?
Close to 100.
Okay.
Very close to 100. We advertise it on the radio, on the radio stations. We also have it on our Facebook page, and also whenever we have any activities outside of the NTRC, we also advertise it there also.
So I'm really hoping that persons watching this will take you up on this opportunity to get the probes installed and figure out what's happening, and so they could go to their providers and remedy the situation, because that is a really awesome project that NTRC is doing. Okay, so how are issues like slow internet speeds or connectivity problems reported by customers addressed by the NTRC?
So the NTRC looks after certain telecommunications complaints, not every single one. So for broadband speeds, job calls and whatnot, different areas, yes, we could look after that. So the procedure is the customer has to first go to their provider, give the provider a chance to remedy the situation. And then the customer fills out Form 1, which the provider then takes in, and then the provider has 30 days in which to solve the problem, respond, or have a dialogue with the customer. If after 30 days, the provider doesn't respond or you're not satisfied with the response, then you come to the NTRC, fill out Form 2, and then the NTRC takes over. The reason for the forms is to keep everything formal.
And paper trail.
Paper trail. We need to make sure that everyone is saying, it's not just a verbal exchange. On paper, so that we know when moving forward, we know exactly what we're doing.
I'm glad you said that, because again, it comes back to what you see on social media. I am not sure if it's a cultural thing, where persons think their issues will be addressed if they go to the social media platforms. But the reality is, if you're not following the proper procedures, your problem might never be resolved. Right. So you just heard what Alden said, report the matter first to your provider. They have 30 days to respond, and if they don't, you then come to the NTRC where you have to fill out the requisite forms, and then you take it from there. Okay. But
just also another point, we work with consumer affairs also.
Okay.
But different, especially if it's not a telecommunications issue that the NTRC can solve or is mandated to get involved, then we refer you to consumer affairs and then assist you now.
Okay. All right. So let's shift over to another topic. Why is the conservation of the radio frequency spectrum so important, and what measures does the NTRC take to prevent frequency congestion or interference?
So, as you mentioned before, spectrum is finite.
Yes.
Numbers are infinite, our spectrum is finite. And we have different services in different bands. And once that starts to fill up, basically you have less services to go in there, you have less providers, and it will also start to affect the customers. So therefore, we need to manage, assign, allocate efficiently to providers so that child base will not get congested. Now, as I mentioned before, we have the spectrum plan which is now being revised, thereby helping in congested spectrum, get new spectrum somewhere else, fit it in. So then that service can now be opened up. Yeah.
In terms of like radio stations and other providers who may not be using their spectrum, do they have a mandate to inform the NTRC that they're no longer operational, or you have to do your own research to find out where there might be, you know?
We have some providers after they say they don't own spectrum anymore because they pay for it.
Yes.
So if they're not making money off of it, most times they give it back.
Okay.
But we have some instances where, especially when we're doing our monitoring, we realize, okay, this spectrum has not been active for a long time because we make reports and whatnot. And if you realize after a period of time, you're not using it, we'll approach you and say, you have any intention of using it anymore, especially if that spectrum band is depleting. We will approach you and ask. And also, what we also try not to do, sometimes you may have something called spectrum hoarding. A provider may hold on to spectrum so as to prevent another service provider.
So they're holding on to it, but not utilizing it, just to prevent.
Yeah, they pay for it.
Oh, wow.
But then you may have, okay, I can hold on to it, I can afford to pay for it, that's fine. But then that is also preventing another provider from entering the market. So all these things we have to look into and make sure that everything is used efficiently.
Okay, so you have your work cut out on
Yes,
this.
yes,
Team. Okay, so how does the NTRC collaborate with ECTEL, international bodies, or even neighboring countries to manage cross-border frequency use and interference?
So as I mentioned before, the spectrum plan, each jurisdiction has its own. And when assigning, before signing, we may have conversation. There's emails going back and forth asking, okay, this is what I would like to assign, and you inform me with this or anything. So we have this conversation to ensure that when the provider goes live, it does not cause any interference to the other provider in the neighboring island. So there are a lot of back and forth sometimes. Sometimes we have to run a lot of simulations. Sometimes it takes a while, but we need to run those simulations before. And like I said, the spectrum bands are depleting. So more and more services, providers, more customers, smartphones are getting smarter. So we need to have enough frequency to accommodate all those things. So speaking to different jurisdiction, we're able to assign them.
Okay, so I'm glad you said there's a back and forth. So sometimes when you apply for a license, it's not as if it will happen immediately. No. There's a process, and as you said, there's the simulations and all of that that needs to happen to ensure that when you provide it, it's free of interference.
Yes.
That's pretty straightforward. All right, so we're getting ready to wrap up. Let me find out from you. With the rapid development of technology, how does the NTRC stay ahead of emerging trends and potential challenges in the sector?
Yes, so we attend a lot of trainings, workshops, seminars, and we also get some assistance from the providers themselves. In certain instances, when a new service or some new technology is about to come out, they themselves assist with the training. And I said workshops and whatnot. And to be honest, old-fashioned reading. Just read up on it, familiarize yourself with it, because we have sometimes very innovative services. Persons who like to provide different services, and it's very, I won't say difficult, but we need to find somebody to fit it, find somebody to license it. And in knowing how it works, then you're able to know where to fit it.
Okay. What innovations or advancements in spectrum management and broadband monitoring are you most excited about for the future?
No cross-border interference. But that will never
I was going to ask you when you think that might happen.
That will never happen. That's just the way it is. That's just how it is. So that's why we have so many collaborations, running simulation, road tests, software tests to make sure that everything works fine. As I also mentioned, the spectrum plan is being revised, and then that will help us to allocate bands for different services, enabling more services and better spectrum allocation. For the broadband monitoring, we started off with a computer software going to person zone that was sitting down and waiting, hopefully, to get the problem. That's how we started off. We have now graduated to actually installing probes, leaving there for 24/7 for about 2 weeks, leave it there. And so moving forward, for now, it works well, it gives us the information we need, but there's always room for progress. And even then, we have not stopped. We are still looking for ways to improve that monitoring aspect.
Okay, awesome. So as you wrap up, any closing remarks, Alden, and maybe you could share the NTRC's contact information for persons to reach out to you as well.
Okay. First of all, I would like to say big up to the NTRC people, everyone. I'm not going to mention names because one or two might stick me. So
yes,
before I get in trouble, I'm not mentioning any names, but big up to the 9 employees at the NTRC who...
Only 9 employees.
Only 9.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Not just your technical staff, but we've had persons from the Universal Service Fund office who are doing amazing training with the young people, the elderly. They're doing the projects in the communities. So yes.
Every single department, we have 3 departments. You have the main office, you have a second technical unit. They all work hard.
Wow.
And I can't take the credit for me being here. We all work hard to get to where we are today. To contact the NTRC, our email address is ntrc_SW@cantw.lc. That's the main address. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, so you can always contact us through these mediums. Our telephone number is 458-2035.
Okay. Thank you so much, Alden. It was a pleasure. Technical subjects tend to intimidate me a bit, but I think you really simplified it and I learned a lot. And I'm hoping that those watching would have gotten a bit of information about the technical side of, using their phones or their computers. And we need the technical.
Yes. And I said, we work behind the scenes. So you never know what's going on. It just works. You're like, oh, it works. And then everyone is happy. When it goes down, then we come in, but you still don't see us, but start working again.
Okay. So thanks again, Alden.
Not a problem.
So in case you joined us late, our very special guest was Alden St. Clair. He's a Senior Technical Officer at the NTRC St. Lucia. Alden shared a lot of information about the NTRC's work in spectrum management and broadband monitoring. And what should be of interest is their ongoing project, which he just explained, where they actually go into homes free of charge across St. Lucia to conduct testing for internet speed and quality to some extent. So please reach out to them for support, and also remember to use the proper channels to resolve your electronic communications issues. He mentioned that also. Don't just complain online, report it to your service provider. If after 30 days nothing happens, go to the NTRC and you'll fill out the proper form so that there is paper trail. Please, let's utilize the proper mechanism to report these issues so that you can experience the quality of service that you are paying for. So we need you to hit the like and share buttons to help us spread the word, because somebody might find this information useful and it might help them to resolve their issues. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comment section below and we'll be happy to reply. This show will be on our Facebook page, and the recording will also be on our YouTube channel, which is at ECTEL, and on Instagram and X at ECTEL Authority, and of course on our website, which is www.ectel.int. So be sure to share with your contacts who may not be on Facebook. So that's it for episode 25 of ECTEL Bytes. Thanks again for joining us, and we hope to see you virtually again for another show in September. I'm your host, Vertical Charles, ECTEL's Communications and Media Relations Manager. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, take care and keep safe.